The world is a vast, unyielding forge, hammering dreams into dust or steel, depending on the heart that dares to stand within its fires. Most people fail, not because they lack talent, not because the stars align against them, but because they never learn to master the one thing that governs all, their mindset. Picture a man born in the shadow of scarcity, his boots worn thin, his hands calloused from toil. This is Rockefeller, not yet the titan of industry, but a boy staring into the horizon of possibility. His mind a crucible where ambition and belief would one day meld into something unbreakable. What separated him from the millions who falter? It wasn't luck. It wasn't privilege. It was a refusal to let the world define him. A refusal to bend to the weight of doubt, fear, or circumstance. Imagine a young Rockefeller standing in a field at dusk. The sky bruised with the colors of a fading day. The air is thick with the scent of earth. And his father's words echo in his ears. The world owes you nothing. But where others heard defeat, he heard a challenge. A spark ignited within him, a question that would burn through decades. What if I could shape my own destiny? That question wasn't just curiosity, it was defiance. It was the seed of a mindset that would carve empires from chaos. Most people fail because they never ask that question. They accept the world's limits as their own, their dreams shrinking to fit the smallness of their fears. But Rockefeller, he saw the world not as it was, but as it could be, and that vision, that unshakable belief, became his compass. Belief is not a fleeting emotion, it's not a wish whispered into the night. It's a fire you stoke, a blade you sharpen, a foundation you build when the ground beneath you trembles. Rockefeller didn't just believe in success, he believed in his right to create it. He looked at the oil fields, the railroads, the sprawling chaos of a nation in its industrial infancy, and saw not obstacles, but opportunities. Where others saw risk, he saw potential. Where others saw failure, he saw lessons. His mind was a fortress, impervious to the doubts that cripple most. Do you know why most people fail? They let doubt creep in like a thief, stealing their resolve before they even begin. They look at the mountain and decide it's too high before taking a single step. Consider the story of a lamp. In the 19th century, homes flickered with the dim glow of whale oil, expensive and fleeting. Most accepted it. Light was a luxury, not a right. But Rockefeller? He saw a world illuminated not by the whims of nature, but by the will of man. Kerosene, cheap and abundant, could light every home from the grandest mansion to the humblest shack. It wasn't just about oil, it was about transforming lives. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for the world to hand him the tools. He built refineries, forged partnerships, and wrestled with chaos until it bent to his vision. That's what belief does. It turns dreams into reality, not through magic, but through relentless, disciplined action. Now pause for a moment. Look at your own life. What's the lamp you're not lighting? What's the dream you've buried because it feels too big, too distant, too impossible? Most people fail because they let those dreams flicker out. They tell themselves, I'm not ready or the time isn't right. But Rockefeller didn't wait for the perfect moment. He didn't wait for the world to say, now. He moved, he acted, he built. And when the world pushed back, as it always does, he didn't crumble. He adapted. His mindset wasn't rigid. It was fluid, like oil flowing through the cracks of opportunity. Discipline is the bridge between belief and reality. Rockefeller didn't just dream of empires, he worked for them. His days began before dawn, his ledgers meticulous, his decisions deliberate. He once said, I would rather be my own tyrant than have someone else tyrannize me. That's not just a phrase, it's a philosophy. Most people fail because they let life dictate their terms. They drift, swayed by the currents of distraction, procrastination, or fear. But Rockefeller, he was his own master. He understood that every choice, every hour, every sacrifice was a brick in the foundation of his future. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not a montage of triumphs set to stirring music. It's the quiet, relentless grind of doing what must be done, even when no one is watching. Picture him in his office, late at night, the world asleep. A single lamp burns, casting shadows on the walls. His pen scratches across paper, numbers and plans weaving the future. He's not chasing wealth for its own sake. He's chasing mastery. Mastery of himself, his mind, his destiny. Most people fail because they chase the wrong things, fleeting pleasures, approval, comfort. But Rockefeller knew that true success is not a destination. It's a state of being. It's the man you become in the pursuit of something greater than yourself. And yet, discipline alone isn't enough. The world is not a straight path. It's a storm. Rockefeller faced lawsuits, rivals, economic panics. He faced a nation that vilified him, calling him a robber baron, a monopolist. Did he falter? Did he let their voices drown his own? No. He adapted. He learned. He pivoted. When the government broke his empire, he didn't collapse into despair. He reinvented it. Most people fail because they see setbacks as endings. Rockefeller saw them as beginnings. A setback is not a defeat. It's a signal to shift, to grow, to find another way. Adaptability is the pulse of progress. Without it, even the strongest vision fades. Gratitude, too, was his secret weapon. Not the shallow gratitude of platitudes, but a deep, unshakable appreciation for the journey itself. Rockefeller didn't curse the long hours, the setbacks, the weight of responsibility. He embraced them. He saw every challenge as a teacher, every success as a gift. Most people fail because they focus on what they lack: money, time, opportunity. They poison their minds with scarcity. But Rockefeller? He cultivated abundance, not just in wealth, but in spirit. He knew that a grateful heart sees possibilities where others see only problems. Now imagine him standing atop a hill, the world stretching out below. A tapestry of cities, railroads, refineries. He's not young anymore. His hair is grey, his shoulders stooped. But his eyes burn with the same fire they held in that field at dusk. He's not done. He's never done, because Rockefeller understood something most never grasp. Life is a never-ending process of striving. Success is not a finish line, it's a horizon, and the man who masters his mindset doesn't chase that horizon, he becomes it. That horizon, vast and untamed, was not just a destination for Rockefeller, it was a mirror. It reflected the man he had become through years of unyielding resolve. A man forged not by the ease of circumstance, but by the crucible of choice. Most people fail because they see the horizon and turn away, daunted by its distance, intimidated by its grandeur. They let the vastness of their dreams overwhelm them, choosing instead the comfort of the familiar, the safety of the small. But Rockefeller? He walked toward that horizon with a heart full of fire, knowing that every step, every stumble, was sculpting him into something greater. His mindset was not just a tool, it was his weapon, his compass, his very soul. Consider the weight of a single decision. In the early days, when Rockefeller was still a young clerk, his world was one of ledgers and long hours, his ambitions confined to the margins of a modest life. Yet even then, he made a choice to see beyond the desk, beyond the numbers, beyond the limits others accepted as truth. He chose to believe that his life could be more than a footnote in someone else's story. That choice was not a fleeting whim, it was a vow etched into the core of his being. Most people fail because they never make that vow. They drift through life, waiting for a sign, a savior, a stroke of luck. They wait for the world to choose them. Rockefeller chose himself. Choice is the root of all transformation. It's not enough to dream, to hope, to wish. Dreams without choices are like ships without rudders, beautiful but adrift. Rockefeller understood this. When he entered the oil business, it was a wild, untamed frontier. Speculators gambling on black gold, fortunes won and lost in a single day. The risks were staggering, the failures frequent, yet he chose to step into that chaos not with recklessness, but with clarity. Clarity is the lens through which vision becomes reality. Most people fail because their vision is clouded by fear, by doubt, by the noise of the world. They see the chaos and retreat. Rockefeller saw the chaos and shaped it. Picture him in those early refineries, the air thick with the acrid scent of oil, the clamor of machinery, a constant pulse. He didn't just see barrels of crude, he saw a network, a system, a way to bring order to the disorder. He studied the market, the supply chains, the inefficiencies others ignored. His mind was a map, charting paths where others saw only dead ends. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want, it's about knowing what you're willing to sacrifice to get it. Rockefeller sacrificed comfort, sleep, the approval of others. He sacrificed the easy path for the one that led to greatness. Most people fail because they cling to comfort, unwilling to let go of the familiar to grasp the extraordinary. And yet, clarity alone is not enough. It must be paired with purpose, a burning, unshakable why that anchors every action. Rockefeller's purpose wasn't just wealth, it was impact. He didn't want to light a single lamp, he wanted to light the world. He didn't want to build a business, he wanted to build a legacy. Purpose is what keeps you standing when the world tries to knock you down. It's what kept Rockefeller moving through the storms of criticism, through the betrayals of partners, through the relentless pressure of a nation watching his every move. Most people fail because they lack that anchor. They chase goals without meaning, wealth without purpose, success without soul. They run, but they don't know why. Imagine a moment in his life, a quiet one, away from the boardrooms and the headlines. He's walking through a forest, the crunch of leaves underfoot, the world silent save for the whisper of wind. In that stillness, he reflects, not on his wealth, but on his why. Why does he push so hard? Why does he endure the weight of 1,000 eyes, 1,000 voices calling him ruthless, greedy, cold? Because he knows that true success is not about the gold in your vault, it's about the lives you touch, the change you create, the mark you leave on the world. That purpose fueled him, gave him strength when others would have faltered. Most people fail because they never find their why. They live for the moment, not for the eternal. Action, then, is the breath of purpose. Rockefeller didn't just dream of a better world, he built it. Every refinery, every deal, every innovation was a step toward that vision. Action is not about perfection, it's about progress. Most people fail because they wait for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect self. They paralyze themselves with analysis, with fear of failure, with the need to be flawless. But Rockefeller, he acted even when the path was unclear, even when the odds were against him. He knew that a single step forward, however small, was worth more than 1,000 perfect plans left unexecuted. Think of the railroads, sprawling arteries of commerce, vital to his empire. Others saw them as tools, mere means to an end. Rockefeller saw them as lifelines, connecting his vision to reality. When competitors undercut him, when markets shifted, when laws tightened, he didn't retreat into despair. He acted. He negotiated, innovated, adapted. He found new routes, new efficiencies, new ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. Most people fail because they see action as a risk. Rockefeller saw inaction as the greater danger. To stand still is to surrender. To move, even in uncertainty, is to claim your place in the world. And yet, action without learning is a fire that burns out. Rockefeller was a student of life, not just of business. He studied his failures as closely as his successes, mining them for wisdom. When a deal collapsed, when a rival outmaneuvered him, he didn't curse his fate. He dissected it. What went wrong? What could be better? How could he grow? Most people fail because they fear failure itself. They hide from it, ashamed, as if it's a stain on their soul. Rockefeller embraced it. Failure was not his enemy, it was his teacher. Every misstep was a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. He knew that the man who learns from his mistakes is the one who rises above them. Picture him now, older, his empire vast, but his hunger undimmed. The world has changed. Electricity hums where kerosene once reigned. New titans rise to challenge his legacy. Yet his mindset remains unshaken. He's not clinging to the past, he's building the future. He gives, not out of obligation, but out of gratitude, a gratitude that flows from a life lived with purpose. His wealth funds schools, hospitals, foundations, not because he seeks praise, but because he knows that true success is measured by what you leave behind. Most people fail because they hoard their gifts, their time, their energy. Rockefeller gave not to be seen, but to see the world transformed. The horizon is still there, calling. It's not a place you reach, it's a challenge you answer. Rockefeller answered it every day, not with words, but with his life. His mindset was his map, his choices his compass, his actions his legacy. Most people fail because they let the world write their story. Rockefeller wrote his own. And in doing so, he showed us that the only true failure is the failure to try. What is it that keeps you awake at night, staring into the dark, your heart pounding with a question you dare not speak aloud? What is it that stirs in the quiet corners of your soul, whispering of a life you could live, a greatness you could claim, if only you dared to reach for it? Rockefeller knew that whisper. He heard it as a boy, standing in the dust of a small town, his pockets empty, but his mind alight with possibility. He heard it as a man, navigating the treacherous currents of industry, his name both revered and reviled. That whisper was not a dream, it was a call to rise, to fight, to become. Most people fail because they silence that whisper. They drown it in doubt, in distraction, in the endless noise of a world that tells them to stay small. But Rockefeller? He listened, and in listening, he unlocked a secret that would change the world. What was that secret? It wasn't a formula, not a blueprint, not a map to riches. It was something deeper, something primal, a truth etched into the very fabric of existence. The secret was this: the world bends to those who refuse to bend. Most people fail because they bow to the weight of fear, to the opinions of others, to the illusion of impossibility. They see the giants, poverty, failure, rejection, and they kneel. Rockefeller saw those same giants, but he stood taller. He didn't just face them, he challenged them. He looked into the eyes of adversity and said, "You will not define me." And in that defiance, he found power. Power not to conquer others, but to conquer himself. Imagine him in the heart of a crisis, the year 1873, the nation gripped by a financial panic. Banks crumbled, fortunes vanished, dreams dissolved like mist. The oil industry, still in its infancy, teetered on the edge of collapse. Men who had gambled everything on black gold watched their hopes drain away. Most would have panicked, retreated, surrendered. Not Rockefeller. In the chaos, he saw clarity. While others scrambled to save what little they had, He moved forward, buying up failing refineries, securing partnerships, tightening his grip on a future others couldn't see. Why? Because he understood something most never grasp. Chaos is not the enemy of success. It's the crucible where success is forged. Most people fail because they flee from the storm. Rockefeller walked into it. But how? How did he find the courage, the vision, the strength to move when others froze? It wasn't magic. It wasn't destiny. It was a mindset honed like a blade, sharpened by years of relentless focus. Focus is the fire that burns away distraction, the lens that brings the impossible into view. Rockefeller didn't just work hard, he worked smart. He didn't scatter his energy across 1,000 fleeting desires. He poured it into one. One vision, one purpose, one unyielding goal. Most people fail because they chase too many things at once. Their lives a blur of half-hearted efforts, their dreams diluted by indecision. Rockefeller chose one path and walked it with every ounce of his being. Picture him at a desk, the world outside cloaked in night. A single candle flickers, its light dancing across papers strewn with calculations, maps, contracts. His eyes are steady, his hands precise. He's not just building a business, he's building a world. Every decision, every risk, every sacrifice is a thread in a tapestry only he can see. But here's the question that haunts, the one that pulls you closer, that demands your attention. What was he thinking in those quiet moments? What fueled that relentless drive? Was it ambition, duty, or something deeper, something most of us never dare to touch? A hunger to prove that one man, armed with nothing but his mind and his will, could reshape the course of history. That hunger is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Most people fail because they never feel that hunger, or if they do, they starve it. They feed it scraps of comfort, of safety, of good enough. But Rockefeller fed his hunger with action, with learning, with an insatiable curiosity that turned every challenge into a question. How can I do this better? How can I turn this obstacle into a stepping stone? When rivals undercut his prices, he didn't curse them, he studied them. When markets shifted, he didn't despair, he adapted. When the world called him ruthless, he didn't flinch, he grew. Most people fail because they let the world's judgment define them. Rockefeller let it refine him, and yet there was something more, a spark that kept his hunger alive, a flame that never wavered, even in the darkest hours. It was faith, not in a distant deity, not in luck, but in himself, in the power of his own mind to carve a path where none existed. Faith is not blind, it's a choice. A choice to trust your vision when the world screams it's impossible. A choice to believe in your strength when your body trembles with exhaustion. A choice to keep moving when every step feels like a leap into the unknown. Rockefeller made that choice every day. Most people fail because they don't. They wait for certainty, for approval, for a guarantee. But certainty is a myth. Success is built on the courage to act without it. Now, imagine him standing before a crowd, not as the titan of industry, but as a man, his voice low, his eyes piercing. He speaks not of oil or wealth, but of life. The greatest failure, he says, is not to fall, but to stay down. The greatest tragedy is not to lack, but to lack the will to rise. Those words cut deep, don't they? They stir something in you, something restless, something alive. They pull you toward a truth you've always known but rarely faced. Your life is not defined by what you have, but by what you do with what you have. Rockefeller didn't start with wealth, with power, with privilege. He started with a mindset that turned a boy with nothing into a man who changed everything. What's stopping you? What's holding you back from answering that whisper in your soul? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it the weight of a world that tells you to stay small, to stay safe, to stay silent? Most people fail because they listen to that world. They let it drown out the voice that calls them to greatness. But Rockefeller? He turned that voice into a roar. He built empires not because he had more than others, but because he believed more, acted more, learned more, dared more. And here's the secret that keeps you listening, that pulls you closer, that won't let you go. You have that same power. It's not in your wallet, not in your circumstances, not in the world around you. It's in your mind. It's in the choices you make, the focus you cultivate, the faith you hold fast. The horizon is still calling. It's calling you. Will you answer? Or will you let it fade, like so many do, into the quiet tragedy of a life unlived? That question lingers, doesn't it? It hangs in the air like a spark, ready to ignite or fade, depending on what you choose next. The horizon Rockefeller chased wasn't a place, it was a state of being, a testament to a life lived on his own terms. Most people fail because they hear the call but turn away, their hearts heavy with excuses, their minds clouded by the fear of what might be. But Rockefeller, he ran toward it. He embraced the unknown, not because he was fearless, but because he knew that fear was a signal, not a stop sign. Fear was the edge of growth, the threshold of greatness, and every time he crossed it, he became more. What does it mean to become more? It's not about wealth, not about power, not about the applause of the world. It's about the quiet victory of knowing you've given everything to the fire within you. Rockefeller didn't build an empire to impress others. He built it to answer a question only he could hear. What am I capable of? That question drove him through sleepless nights, through battles with rivals, through the weight of a nation's scrutiny. It drove him when the world called him a villain, when the courts tore at his legacy, when the future seemed uncertain. Most people fail because they never ask that question. Or if they do, they're too afraid to hear the answer. But Rockefeller, he lived for the answer. Picture him now, in the twilight of his life, standing on the edge of his estate, the world stretching out before him. The boy from the dusty fields is gone, replaced by a man whose name echoes through history. But the fire in his eyes remains, undimmed by time. He looks out, not at what he's built, but at what he's become. Every refinery, every deal, every sacrifice was a step toward that becoming. And yet, he's not done. He never will be. Because the man who masters his mindset knows that life is not a race to a finish line. It's a journey to a horizon that always shifts, always calls, always demands more. That demand is what most people fear. They see the endless striving and call it exhaustion. They see the discipline, the focus, the relentless pursuit, and they shrink back, craving ease, craving rest. But Rockefeller saw it differently. Striving was not a burden. It was a gift. It was the pulse of life itself, the rhythm of a heart that refuses to settle. Most people fail because they stop striving. They trade their dreams for comfort, their purpose for safety, their potential for predictability. They build cages out of their own fears and call them homes. Rockefeller built no cages. He built bridges, bridges to new possibilities, new horizons, new versions of himself. And yet, even bridges can tremble. There were moments when the weight of his choices pressed hard, when the world's judgment cut deep, when the path ahead seemed shrouded in shadow. Did he doubt? Did he waver? Perhaps. He was human after all. But what set him apart was what he did with that doubt. He didn't let it paralyze him. He didn't let it define him. He turned it into fuel, a spark to reignite his resolve. Most people fail because they let doubt become their master. Rockefeller made it his servant. He took every question, every fear, every moment of uncertainty and forged it into a tool for growth. Doubt, for him, was not a weakness. It was a teacher, a guide, a call to rise higher. Now imagine him turning to you, his voice steady, his gaze piercing through the veil of your excuses. "The world will test you," he says. "It will break you if you let it. But you are not made to break, you are made to build." Those words aren't just for the titans of industry, not just for the giants of history. They're for you, for the part of you that hears the whisper, that feels the hunger, that knows you are meant for more. Most people fail because they ignore that part. They bury it under the weight of routine, under the noise of the world, under the lie that they're not enough. But Rockefeller, he lived for that part. He let it guide him, shape him, drive him. And in doing so, he didn't just change his life, he changed the world. What will you change? What will you build? The question isn't whether you're capable, it's whether you're willing. Willing to face the fear, to embrace the struggle, to choose the horizon over the cage. Rockefeller's life was not a straight line. It was a tapestry of choices, woven with threads of discipline, faith, gratitude, and relentless action. Every thread was a decision, every decision a step towards something greater. Most people fail because they stop weaving. They drop the threads, afraid of the pattern they might create, afraid of the greatness it might demand. But you stand at the loom of your own life, the threads in your hands. What will you create? The crescendo is here, the moment where the whisper becomes a roar, where the spark becomes a flame. Rockefeller's story is not just a tale of oil and empires, it's a mirror held up to your soul. It asks you to look, to see, to choose. Will you let the world write your story, or will you seize the pen? Will you let fear define your limits, or will you define your own? Most people fail because they choose the former. They let the world's weight crush them, let its noise drown them, let its doubts bind them. But you are not most people. You are the one who hears the call, who feels the fire, who knows that within you lies the power to shape your destiny. So stand, rise, move toward that horizon, not with the certainty of success, but with the courage to strive. Let every step be a defiance of doubt, every choice a declaration of purpose, every action a testament to your will. Rockefeller didn't conquer the world, he conquered himself. And in that conquest, he showed us what's possible. The world is waiting, not to hand you your dreams, but to see what you'll make of them. The horizon is calling, not with promises, but with a challenge. What are you capable of? Answer it. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because the only true failure is the failure to try, and the only true victory is the life you dare to live.